Hello, 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 hello. I am Dr. Amanda Ramirez, and I am going live here on Facebook and going live on Instagram at the same time, and I'm so excited to be here. And the topic of today's discussion is how I lost 30 pounds and giving some insights that I had on a 16-mile walk that I did, in addition to all of the insights that came through after doing a 30-day yoga challenge, 30 yoga classes in 30 days. So hello, say hi, and ask any questions that you may have along the way. I'm live on both Facebook and Instagram. So I am going to jump right into this topic. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited that you're here. Okay, so this is what's up. I had a really stressful and intense and uncertain beginning to my 2020, the year 2020. My bad, 2021. Okay, so in a 7-year period, from the years 2013 to the years 2020, in that 7-year period, my weight had fluctuated 10 pounds. Okay, that was normal to me, and I just keep track of my weight when I go to my yearly visits at the physician. So in 7 years, my weight had only fluctuated 10 pounds, and it really stayed in the middle of those 10 pounds. Okay, so that's important. So for me, my body, it was normal and reasonable to have a 10-pound weight fluctuation. And for women, if you are tracking how much weight fluctuation you have, you want to take into account your cycle and also take into account your weight at different junctures in your cycle, because you may find that you also have a range, and where you are in your cycle matters. So in 2014, I did 3 months of really intense Ayurvedic. I don't want to say intense. It was dedicated. I was dedicated. I did 3 months of dedicated work with my Ayurvedic practitioner. So cleaning up my sleep cycle, cleaning up my diet, different lifestyle habits. And I specialize in the lymphatic system. So I also focused on lymphatic drainage. And in that 3-month period, if I told you that my range was 10 pounds, I actually felt the best I've ever felt in my adult life, I'm going to say. And I just so happened to have my yearly physical at the end of those 3 months, and I was 2 pounds below my 10-pound range. So if this is my 10-pound range, I was 2 pounds below that. So I have kept that just at the back of my head, that the best you've ever felt is actually 2 pounds below what your 10-pound range is. And that matters because I arrived at that weight unintentionally, and I wasn't focused on weight loss at the time. And it occurred over probably the course of 6 months. I did 3 months of group work with my Ayurvedic practitioner, and then I went into 3 months of dedicated one-on-one work. So let's fast forward to my intense and stressful and very uncertain beginning to 2021. So there's just a lot happening. That is a story reserved for another day. But basically, I live in LA, Los Angeles, California, and I unexpectedly did not live in LA for about 4 months. And so I lived like out of a suitcase that I had only planned to be away for about 1 month. And I ended up being gone for 4, and there was just a bunch of other stuff happening. And so in that time, I got back to LA, and so this is my normal healthy 10-pound range. And from this low end, I was 30 pounds above that. So from the high end, I was 20 pounds above it. From the low end, I was 30 pounds above it. So that's how I had you can say 20 to 30 pound weight gain in, really, I'm going to just say it was 4 months, but let's just be gracious and maybe say 5 months but definitely there was an intensity that was happening. And I accepted that whenever you're under stress, your body responds in one way or the other. So I accepted that my body's response to that stress was through weight gain, and I didn't question it, and I didn't become bitter about it. I just knew that I had to focus on chilling out once I got back to LA and resetting a lot of habits and integrating and processing a lot of what had gone down. So I am focused now. So now there's a 30-pound weight gain. We're now in April of 2021, right? So I'm back in LA, Easter Sunday. I touch down in LA, and I am 30 pounds above my low end. And so I just decide I'm not going to go hard with anything. I'm just going to come home. I'm just going to eat healthy. I'm going to get rest, and I'm going to work out as usual and go from there. So something that I felt that was very peculiar about my weight gain was that it felt like a lot of lymphatic congestion. Your lymphatic system is a part of your immune system, and it is responsible for clearing out the cellular debris, cellular waste daily. And there's 4 ways that the lymphatic system moves waste and cellular debris out of our systems. So I was focusing on those 4 pillars. And in my virtual program, Lymphatic System Beauty Secrets, I share with people what those 4 pillars are. So I just started doing that, and now it is July. What is that? Like 3 months later, and I fell. I just bit it. And I have never been in so much pain in such a long time. I just I just tripped coming out of my house and just bit it, rolled my ankle, and was in 10 out of 10 pain. I don't remember the last time I was in that much pain. So to me, this was like an emergency. So I'm not going to get too much. I'm a physical therapist, so I took my own medicine and went to rehab my situation. But I want to share that piece of the story because I still accomplished my weight loss goals when a majority, when I had picked up speed with getting back into better habits, I was in 10 out of 10 pain and had to go to physical therapy. So that's just a sidebar that if you are going through it, sometimes, there's just a little more extra added on top just to make things interesting. And that definitely happened to me. So now we're at the end of July of 2021. And I had, through just lifestyle changes, dropped the first 10 pounds. And that was about 3.5 months in. And like I said, that's significant because in that time, I busted my stuff by falling. So then I'm doing physical therapy, continuing to do my lifestyle changes. And by October, I had lost 20 pounds total, so an additional 10 pounds. And that was 6 months into my efforts. So here's the 10-pound range that I'm at, right? So the low end and the high end, and I had gained 30 from the low end and 20 from the high end. So by losing 10 or 20 pounds, I was now at the high end of what was normal for me. But I was really frustrated because, like anyone else, you're like, I've committed myself to 6 months of this. I feel like I should just be at what my normal weight is. So what is significant about this, or why I'm being very specific about all of this, is because alongside my weight, I was also tracking. My mom is a seamstress and a very talented one at that. And I grew up, actually, a lot of the women in my family are seamstresses. So I grew up being measured because, custom fits, custom dresses, custom things. And so I am accustomed to understanding and knowing my measurements, because also when you're buying clothes, your clothes best fits you when you know what your size is. And I feel like a lot of people don't know what their size is, their true size. So I am accustomed to measuring myself. And so I was also keeping track of my measurements. So if you ever decide to measure yourself, and this goes for if you're trying to get custom clothes, or if you're just trying to keep track of your weight gain, weight loss, muscle gain, muscle loss, is taking girth measurements. And so the ones that I do personally are thigh, your hips, at your belly button, at your waist. And for men, you're going to do your chest and your neck. And for women, you're going to do your underbust and your bust. And you can do your neck if you're getting a custom turtleneck made. But usually men measure their neck for collared shirts. So anyway, I'm accustomed to measuring myself. And I'm checking my notes. So at the 20-pound weight loss, I'm keeping track of everything. And I just decide that I'm not where I want to be. And so I had another plan that didn't really want to do any fasting or juice fasting or extreme changes with my diet, because I felt like it would be more sustainable for me to not do that. But I am accustomed to doing that twice a year, because I will usually do some sort of diet reset that involves juicing and fasting at the junctures of winter and spring, and summer and fall. So usually around holy days and Easter in the spring is when I'm fasting, and in the fall it's just usually at the juncture of going into winter. Again, a story for another day, but I really didn't want to do that. And finally, someone that I trust and know, and he's a physician that was also guiding my situation, he's like, I think that you need to just go into like a part of the lymphatic reset that you need is with your diet. So I did go into a fasting period and intermittent fasting, but also fasting and with juice and limeade. And that is when I lost the last 20 pounds, last 10 pounds of the 30. So if this was my range of the high end and the low end, that juicing and diet reset got me down the last 10 pounds. And so at that point, I had lost in 6 months, 1.5 inches off my thighs, 1.5 inches off my hips, 3.75 inches off of my belly button. This was huge, 4.5 off my waist, and 3.5 off of my underbust, and 4.75 at my bust. And I feel like when people lose weight rapidly and they're just doing they're not focusing on lymphatic drainage and they're not focusing on strength training, your skin gets really, really flaccid, or you develop a lot of stretch marks because the weight loss occurred too rapidly. So some things that I did to prevent that were, you need to massage your skin with really high quality oils, because your skin is an organ and your skin will expand when you gain weight. And it can lose its elasticity when you lose weight really rapidly, but your skin also has like a strength to it that it will maintain its integrity if you are actually strong beneath your skin, if your muscles are strong. So this whole time I am doing a lot of strength training. In terms of cardio, I walk, but for the sake of challenging myself, because I had busted my stuff and fell, I wanted to get back to running. I knew that running was really hard and running was very painful because of the fall on top of the weight gain. So it was important for me to get back to running, but I was doing it more as like a rehab goal than I was like going out and running every day. And that to me was like a mental necessity. My mind needed to be challenged to run again. Otherwise, these are the times of our lives where you become complacent with an extreme amount of weight gain. You become complacent with weakness. You become complacent with a loss of function. And when you do that in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, You do it because you're busy. Maybe you're in the prime of your life and working is more important. Maybe you have a family and you feel like your time and focus is needed there. But if you have a why, like a why that drives you every morning, for me, my why is what drove me to want to reach for bigger goals, that even despite the weight gain, and reach for bigger goals despite being in pain because I had fallen. So with that said, I was doing a lot of strength training so that my skin, with all of that weight loss, would not just be saggy, weak skin. So that is an important part of when you are losing a large amount of weight. That as much as I wanted to lose 30 pounds in like a month, I knew that realistically it wasn't going to look good, because then I would still have to take the time to restore all the integrity within my skin. So basically the 6 months was a very reasonable time to have lost the weight that I lost. So then fast forward, I do this diet reset in November. So I lose the final 10 pounds, so a total of 30. And it was probably like 7 months that happened. And now from November to December, I go back to fluctuating my normal 10-pound range. So between this low end and this high end, I spend the end of the year fluctuating there. So I just decided it's the end of the year. We've been, like now it's been a full year of 4 months of weight gain, and then seven months of really focused weight loss. And now I just want to chill. So I was fine with my weight kind of fluctuating in that last month in that 10 pounds range, because that's where my weight had been for the last 7 years. So I had technically accomplished my goal. But now we're in January of 2022. And I noticed that my weight is at the high end of my 10 pounds range. And I just decided to see what my body does. And for 3 months, from all of January, all of February, and all of March, I noticed that my weight stays kind of at this top range, which I don't love, because if you recall when I started this video, the best I had ever felt was, here's my 10-pound range, was 2 pounds below it. And so I decided, okay, there's still more for me to transform. There's more goals for me to meet. And I work with women postpartum who it is oftentimes very important for them to restore their pre-pregnancy function. It's not always restore their pre-pregnancy body, but definitely they would like to restore pre-pregnancy function. And on top of that, they now have a child that is growing. It's a built-in strengthening program. You know, this child, baby, starts at maybe 7 to 10 pounds and incrementally grows. So it's like a built-in strength program to motherhood and fatherhood. And it's not just about getting to the pre-pregnancy body. It is about restoring pre-pregnancy function, and sometimes the pre-pregnancy function was not giving what it was supposed to give, and there is now the necessity to even improve beyond the function that they had. So I say that because I think that it is very important for me to experience that shape shifting and take it seriously and stay committed to it. And it's fascinating to me to stay devoted to it. And I am somebody that is diamond cut. I am very precise. It is just my in this life that I live, it is just where I gain a lot of satisfaction to just be of the highest caliber. And that's the depth in my soul that I get pleasure out of. So I don't think that the average person has to do what it is that I do, but it's important for me to do what it is that I do. So with that said, I decide that spring is the perfect time to reset my my desire to take this 10-pound weight range and bring it down more to the low end. So now I'm just playing and shape-shifting with where I had been in the last 7 years. And now knowing that I had felt good on this end range, the 2 pounds minus my lowest range, like that's what I was trying to shift towards. Like, what do I have to do to feel that amazing again? And so, or even better than when I felt that amazing. So I decided to go back to a lot of the work that I had done with resetting habits. And now we're talking like really basic stuff. I had committed the month of April to be my month of sleep. And I committed to being in bed at 9 p.m. every single night of April. I was in it to win it. And at the end of April, I was going on a 16-mile walk from Ventura, the mountains of Ventura from the mountains of Ojai to the coast of Ventura. So I knew that I wanted to rest, and I knew that I wanted to be strong enough and have the endurance to enjoy that walk. So get this. In the first week of April, I lost like 5 pounds from sleeping. So this desire to kind of be towards this end of my weight range happened, I don't want to say overnight, but practically overnight, because I slept. I got more sleep. And so in that moment, it was really easy for me to commit. I don't need to get up any earlier. I get up at like 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. I'm usually at the gym between 6 and 6:30. I don't need to wake up any earlier. Maybe to pray, maybe to meditate more, which that's already a part of my routine, but I really don't need to wake up any earlier. And thus, for me, it's super important. I knew it was super important for me to clean up the other side. That's where there was more space to shift and change, is just be in bed sooner. So 9 p.m. was my goal, and it was a full-on fire drill at 8:50 p.m. Like, it was stop, drop, roll, get horizontal, hurry up. Like, it's 9, like, you got to be in bed. So I noticed that, like, I just had no sense of stop your day, get in bed. And I ended up doing the same exact diet reset during holy days leading up to Easter. So there's, depending on what religious persuasion, spiritual inclinations you have, you may or may not know that during certain days of holy days, you're not eating meat, you're fasting, doing some other stuff. So kind of extended some of that fasting. And really that mimicked a lot of the stuff that I did in the fall. So I didn't do anything drastically new aside from sleep. And I easily lost first 5 pounds, just came off from sleeping for a week. And then, or being in bed and getting more sleep for a week. And then when I did my diet reset, I lost another 6.5 pounds. So in total, I lost 11.5 pounds. But don't forget that I was at the top end of my range. So really, I just brought it back down to the low end. And I was asking myself, why was it, body? Why was it that you decided to hold on to about 10 pounds of weight again after having lost it technically? And I quickly realized it's because you're not sleeping enough or getting deep quality sleep. And that's what further motivated me to be in bed at 9. So I had already made that commitment, and within the first week it was revealed how effective it was, and thus I continued with it. So now we're getting to the 16-mile walk, and I'm telling my mentor as we're walking about this whole journey. And she's like, oh, that's fascinating. That's a full-on fire drill for you at 8:50. Are you falling asleep when you get in bed? I'm like, oh, I'm out like a light. And she's like, oh, fascinating. You are not receiving any internal cues that you're exhausted, that you're tired. I'm like, how about that? She's like, yeah, you need the external feedback of the clock to tell you that it is time for you to be in bed, but you are responding to that by just falling asleep, but you yourself were not winding yourself down. And so that to me was just because I realized that, like I'm suppressing the internal cues coming my way saying you're tired, start winding down. So in physical therapy and in medicine and many other professions, there's something that's called objective and subjective feedback. And so when you're doing an evaluation of somebody, you ask them like, okay, so how much does your shoulder hurt? And they will tell you. What's the quality of that pain? What does it feel like? When does it happen? All of that is subjective feedback on the case, on the situation. And then you do objective measurements. So you actually will measure their range of motion. You'll actually measure their strength. And those quantitative numbers becomes the objective feedback. And so things like measuring your girth measurements, that is objective feedback. Things like keeping track of your weight, that is objective feedback. And it is helpful to provide subjective feedback, like I feel amazing, I feel terrible, but those feelings aren't as, they're valid, but sometimes they can get skewed based on just how you're feeling. And so oftentimes it's nice to have objective numbers and objective feedbacks to also be a reflection of your journey. So I realized that I needed objective feedback outside of me to cue me to be in bed. And so it made me really value the importance of external feedback. So external feedback can also be a mirror. External feedback can also be a picture, something where you can actually say, here is the difference from A to B. This inspired me to sleep more, but now I knew that I needed to develop my internal cues. I needed to refine my internal cues for rest, and that it was okay to rely on external feedback. So now I'm back in LA, and after my 16-mile walk, and I have the opportunity to do this yoga challenge at my yoga studio, and I decided that that was the perfect external feedback and motivation that I needed to keep working on refining my internal cues for rest. And so here's the funny part. I took way too much. I had too much stuff in my backpack when I did that 16-mile walk, easily 10 to 15 pounds. And I thought like this walk was going to be really easy because every other weekend I hike anywhere between 7, 8, sometimes 10 miles. So I'm like, what's another 5? It's fine. Like, it's pretty flat. I should survive. I started getting foot pain, and I was certain that it was like 10 miles in. And I didn't want to ask because I'm like, you don't have that much more to go, because I've never really had foot pain before when I'm hiking. So I was shocked to find out that, and again, I decided to find out what mileage we were at for the benefit of the external feedback. Sometimes you don't know until you're doing a really long walk how far into that walk you're having pain, or you say that your pain is random, but you've just really never done something long enough to really cue in to when things hurt. So for the sake of having an objective number behind when my pain started, I decided to ask, hey, does anyone know how long we've been walking? And someone said 5 miles. So that was a head trip for me because I had 11 miles more to go and I was already in pain. So something really fascinating happened. I realized that I had about 10 pounds in my pack, and I decided, oh, wait, this isn't my true weight. I am carrying 10 extra pounds on me. So, that does change my experience of pain. I have pain at 5 miles when I have 10 extra pounds on me, but then something dawned on me. I was making it seem like this was this new and novel experience of having 10 pounds on me, but it wasn't, because less than a month ago, I had actually weighed 10 more pounds. So I had this really profound and spiritual experience of walking that next 11 miles, really getting to know what it felt like to move in a body and a frame that was carrying 10 extra pounds. And I knew that I got to take these extra 10 pounds off at the end of it, but there was something about walking with a previous version of myself and a very recently previous version of myself. And kind of feeling that pain happened sooner and feeling that I was uncomfortable, like I was just carrying too much weight. And that whole next 11 miles became like I was grateful that I had the insights. I was grateful that I had guidance. I was grateful that I had the experience of having lost 10 pounds and then kind of regaining 10 pounds and then having the opportunity to lose it and then feel it on me, and then get to literally take the pack off of me. So it was just this really fascinating experience that further motivated me. I had already spent the month of April sleeping more, and that's what really resulted in this last bit of rapid weight loss. And I didn't necessarily know that it was going to be that rapid, but it was. And then to feel myself carry all this extra weight on this hike and be motivated to, or just be given the option, really, like, what kind of experience do you want moving forward? Do you want the experience where you carry on with this 10 extra pounds? Just don't sleep. Just live the life you were living where you're not attentive to sleep. Or you can do the things you need to do to prioritize your rest. And so, just checking the comments here. I'm both live on Facebook and Instagram. So I went into the month of May deciding, okay, I benefit from external feedback. I already know this. I benefit from knowing my measurements. I benefit from knowing my weight. And just for context, I weigh myself once a week at the gym. I don't own a scale at home. And so I just go to the gym, and at the end of my workouts every Tuesday, I will weigh myself and write it down. So I benefit from knowing that. And at the same time, I'm feeling different things. I'm feeling that subjective experience of my hip hurts, my knee hurts, my foot hurts. I'm feeling heavy. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling really energized. I'm feeling really light. I'm feeling really quick, feeling really agile. So there's all of those subjective experiences on top of my objective measurements that are kind of helping me mark the passage of time, because left to our own devices, you're like, nothing's changing. I cannot tell you how many patients, they're so stuck in a story that literally everything around them is improving. Like their range of motion is getting better, they're getting stronger, but in their minds, nothing has changed, and this is a waste of time. So it is so valuable, especially if you're in a state or a space where you're just stuck in your head and you're stuck in these stories that you're eventually hopefully going to grow out of, but for the time being you have yet to grow beyond them, it's very helpful to have someone outside of you helping to kind of keep the passage of time and trackage of your progress. So I did my 30 days, and here is my cheat code, because 30 days of yoga can be a lot. But the cheat code was that I booked the yin class at night 5 days a week. So it was the 8 p.m. class or the 8:30 p.m. class. And I would only go to a heated weight lifting class called Sculpt twice a week. And then the other day of the week, it was just a wild card. But this really helped with what I was saying. I needed more external feedback to start winding down, to rest. So to know that I had to be somewhere at 8 p.m., I had committed at the beginning of the month. I had literally logged in all my classes that I was going to take at the beginning of the month. And so by committing in that way, I knew that I had somewhere to be, and I would adjust my date accordingly. And me and some people in the locker room were talking about like what our experience was with the 30-day challenge, and everyone was basically like, I realized that I can do it. It's just a matter of making time for it, and it's a matter of scheduling it out and putting it in your calendar. And just at the beginning of the month, I knew that every Tuesday and Thursday I had somewhere to be at 8:30 p.m. and on Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, I had somewhere to be at 8 p.m. And really, when I think about it, that's not a ridiculous commitment. To be winding down towards rest at 8 p.m., knowing that I get up at 4:30 a.m., knowing that I get up at 5 a.m. So I am very happy to report that in my second month of rest, because I had committed to rest in April, and then I committed to this 30-day challenge, which really was a challenge to create better habits. Now, instead of a fire drill at 8:50, it's like, okay, we're winding down at 7:30. We're putting our dishes away. We're getting food ready, packed for lunch the next day. We're setting out outfits. All that's happening now at 7. Go do this stretching class and relax, wind down, come home, shower, and then I get in bed. So from the months of April, the mid-April to now, the end of May, my weight has fluctuated only 1 pound, which I think is incredible. Knowing that like in the last previous months, my weight was swinging within my 10 pounds, which is normal for me. But now that I've been getting my sleep back in order, the weight fluctuation is way on this lower end, and it's really more this 1 pound deviation. And I wanted to share something about lymphatic drainage, because the majority of my focus was on lymph drainage, and here is how that is related to weight loss. Lymph congestion can cause you to gain weight in 3 ways. And one is that there's just an accumulation of excess fluid. So sometimes when people lose weight very rapidly, it's not necessarily fat that you are losing, but rather you are losing a lot of, people will say water weight, which is true, but sometimes when people really have a dramatic weight loss initially, a lot of what they are stimulating is their lymphatic system. So the accumulation of excess fluid, excess lymphatic fluid, can cause you to gain weight. And that's what I felt a lot of my weight gain was. It had not transitioned yet into being fat stores. But I knew that it was on track to doing that, because gaining 30 pounds is a lot of fluid accumulation and lymph stagnation. And I knew exactly where in my body lymph was stagnating. And so it was important for me to clear those areas. When you when you have more advanced lymph disorders, you will accumulate fat locally. You will store an abnormal amount of fat in the areas where you're really congested and where you may have a more serious lymph congestion. So that is how the second way that lymphatic congestion can cause you to gain weight, is if you have a more advanced disease or disorder involving the lymphatic system, and then you start developing abnormal fat stores around that congestion. And the third way is that a weak lymphatic system, a weak lymphatic drainage capacity, will cause there to be an accumulation of adipose tissue that does not respond appropriately. Your fat stores should be able to break down and provide you with energy. And when there's a lot of lymphatic congestion, healthy limbs in your body do not allow for that fat to respond the way that it normally does, and it doesn't respond to the calls of breaking down. There's some interesting research. Women who displayed worsened lymphatic drainage in their legs had fat stores that were less willing to break down and release energy, both when they were at rest and when those areas were stimulated. And it is suggested that even without overt swelling being present, a weakened lymphatic system can cause subtle tissue changes that encourage the unnecessary storage of fat. So I was at that juncture. I knew that high stress circumstances will cause the lymphatic system to slow down its draining. And that's what I felt was happening to me. Some things that you'll feel when your lymphatic system is congested. This is difficult because these are all subjective things, but this is how everything begins. It begins subjectively. Oftentimes we don't, in Western medicine, our measurements of things are not sophisticated enough to catch things when they're in their early stages. So some things you'll feel are heaviness, like there's pressure in your skin. Sometimes that's like your clothes feels tighter, but there's a heaviness in your limbs. It could be a heaviness in your legs. And so with that said, I was feeling a lot of that. I knew what lymphatic congestion looks like, and I knew what it felt like, and I knew that if I did not handle my weight gain, it was going to turn into fat that was going to be more difficult to address later. Anytime that you allow lymphatic congestion to accumulate, and it does turn into kind of a distorted fat. I don't want to say distorted fat. It's doing what it needs to do. It just doesn't respond as robustly and as appropriately as it normally would had it not been bogged down by lymphatic congestion. So I did not want things to progress to that point, and I knew that that's where things were headed because that's what the body does. The body, in fact, is somewhat predictable. So that is kind of the end of my journey for now. I have some other goals that I have, but I will share those once they're in motion or I have achieved them. But I wanted to share that in the last year, technically from my normal range of weight to present day, because today is Tuesday, so I weighed myself and I decided to measure myself for this very video. So if this is my 10-pound normal range weight in the last 7 years, I am about literally right in the middle today. The day of today, I'm right in the middle of that 10-pound range. And so from a year ago, I actually had the weight that I was a year ago today. So I was actually 20 pounds above what I am today. So I am looking forward to, in the fall, likely, I'm going to continue strengthening and staying strong and really challenging myself with different things, different body parts that I would like to be stronger, and different tasks, functional tasks that I want to be better at, and different athletic endeavors that I want to perform at a higher level. So those are my goals, just that I've been working on and that I will continue to work on. But in the last year, from a girth measurement standpoint, I have lost 1 inch at my thighs, 1 inch at my 2 inches at my hips, 2.5 inches at my belly button, 3 inches at my waist, 1.25 inches at my underbust, and 1.75 of my bust. And so a lot of times when women lose weight very, very rapidly, you will oftentimes, and your hormones go crazy because it's just too much weight done too rapidly and there's not strength to support it. So you're losing actually a lot more muscle mass. That's what you're oftentimes losing. They will rapidly lose what I call the feminine form. Like you lose a lot of the girth at your bust and you lose a lot of the girth at your hips. So for me, it's really important, as I am on my weight loss journey, that the majority of my girth measurements drop at my waist. Of course, there's like a aesthetic look to when you drop inches at your waist, but there is also a lot of research to support the measurement of your waist, indicating there's mortality rate can be associated with your waist, and other health factors can be, the trajectory of it can be correlated to the progression of certain health conditions based on your waist measurement. So for me personally, it's very important for me that I strengthen my chest area and I strengthen my hips, and I do certain things to address my core so that as I am losing weight, it is in a certain ratio where it's not all the weight, the majority of the weight is not being lost in my hips or in my breasts, but that the majority of the weight loss is in my waist or reflected in my waist. So I share all of this because in my virtual course, Lymphatic System Beauty Secrets, I share how to use external cues, weight, use girth measurements, use pictures to really get a sense of where you are. And then when you have a why, you have a big enough goal that you care about, to want to lose weight, to want to change, to want to enhance, to want to transform your body. I have different things that you can focus on, different tracks. I share protocols for the non-surgical breast lift. I share my protocol for a defined waist. I share my protocols for a nail growth journey. Share my protocol for sculpted glutes and a voluminous derriere for toned legs, and how to really enhance the feminine form, as well as improving fertility and focusing on weight loss and also focusing on weight gain. My personal body doesn't need to focus on weight gain, but I have worked with women and people who weight gain is what they need to do. And so there are protocols in there for weight loss and weight gain, and also other things related to the face. So rejuvenated eyes, luscious lips, and a snatched jawline, and the hair growth journey, better beauty sleep. All of those things are within the container of my virtual offering, Lymphatic System Beauty Secrets. So if you're interested in that, just drop a comment, let me know, and I can get you the info. It is 4 modules with a bonus Q&A, and you get a workbook. The course itself is 12 hours of recorded content, and the videos in each protocol, I don't even know how many videos there are, but easily you have access to like 50 plus exercise videos that will really help you get the basic phase 1 understanding of each of the protocols. And then I'm happy to work with people one-on-one to help and serve in you going deeper into your experience. I have a lot of people that I'm personally connected with that have helped me on my journey, which I'm happy to share once people start working with me, because it's a commitment. So I only share the next level people when you are committed and we're working together, and it is a holistic plan and you have your why and you're dedicated and you're committed. And so if any of what I have said is of interest to you, the weight loss, the challenge of doing hard things and walking 16 miles and doing 30 yoga classes in 30 days, the lymphatic drainage aspect, if anything is fascinating, interesting to you, let me know and ask questions and I'm happy to answer them. And until the next time, if you are watching the replay of this, drop a little hashtag replay and share what you've learned, share what you want to learn, and I am happy to get back to you all soon, and I hope to hear from you if you have any questions. Much love.